Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
No borders. We can't track people anymore. No banking system because we'll meet most of our needs. No restriction on governments to be abusive against their citizens. You don't like to live in this map condition, you move to another within seconds. No persecution, because in putting you in prison to persecute you, you can move your body from the cell. There's a lot of things with it. One planet, one nation, one race. You choose the place and space you want to live, where and what time and where to be. There is no need for visas and all the things we create. We are better, you coming to us. Why the nations have created this visa business and passport business and restriction? Because we've stolen from you for long enough, now we want to keep it. You can't have it. That's all it is. And the rest has to follow, because if you want to go with the thieves, they asked us to make you something, we give you a passport. Look at the whole visa situation and passport situation in reality in the back. There is no abuse. You'll be in Rome, Paris, in Tehran, or in Africa, or whatever, because they can't abuse you, because you can move on. Would there be refugees? And all these things will become in the history book of them. Very soon, very, very soon. The biggest problem will be the officials who think they can lose control. So this gas enhancement units which we put in the market now, you buy it, we try to make it them what they call car conversion of it, put it in the back of your car. Nobody can tell you how much you can drive. You don't have to have a fear if you have the money to drive the car. If you're paying €50 a week for the fuel, which most of the people do to go to work or shop or whatever, that's $2,500 you don't pay anymore. That's half of it taxes to the government, which you don't pay, which you have to cover. But the other half does not go to Saudi Arabia. We see the richest monarch, the most abusing nation of their own nationals. As I said to the people we were in this morning, you signed a contract for hundreds of billions to get the supply, and now you don't need. What are you going to do with that 400 billion? It will come to our governments, these things very soon, that we need to be governed by one word. And sooner or later, we set the scene, we imply and apply the scene that it goes through the Universal Council. You will see in a matter of handful of years, Universal Council will be one of the leading positions even within the United Nations. In the structure, one nation, one planet, one race is I'm a citizen of the planet Earth. That's all it is. Then which part where you come from? I come from the green part called Europe. I come from the desert part called Africa, the north part of that. I come from the forest side is called Brazil. We don't call ourselves, I'm a Brazilian, Chinese or whatever. They don't know you. They just see a feature of the soul of the man created on planet Earth. As I explained to you, one of the knowledge is when you travel the depths of the universe, the soul of those who come from Earth is very distinct. They know this soul comes from Earth. It's like you Chinese going into Paris and trying to speak French or English. They're still Chinese. Because we see that feature, soul of the man in space has a feature which is the feature of the strength of the souls from this planet. The good thing with Keshe Foundation is that we are not theoretical, we're delivering, and knowledge, science, technology, politics all comes together. We're proud you're born in this time and place that you can see this transition. My great-grandmother used to say, I've seen how your great-grandfather used to go with camels from Afghanistan to Palestine and come back once a year. I've seen how we went to the cars and the bus and the planes and whatever it is. In my little eye, I've seen big changes. And with your little eyes and your soul, from now on, you see bigger changes in a very short time than our parents or forefathers seen in centuries. Because you're doing it for yourself, and it's not somebody else to do it. That you don't need to learn how to become a pilot or have a car to drive or go to an airport to take a flight. All that now, you're responsible, you're captain of your soul. And you decide, I put my soul into abuse.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 520th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 11th, 2024. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute, Education Department, and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host once again in this weekly series of workshops, and we are at 520 today, which represents 10 continuous years of Knowledge Seekers workshops, of weekly workshops. So congratulations, Mr. Keshe, and everyone involved in producing the Knowledge Seekers workshops for a 10-year anniversary, you could say. And welcome to our presenter for the last 519 Knowledge Seekers workshops, Mr. Mehran Keshe. Mr. Keshe, are you ready to begin today?
Yes, good morning. Thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers from Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back, and we hope we have a beautiful sharing time of knowledge and understanding more of what we're trying to achieve. As we are endeavoring to go further in understanding the work of the universe and its interaction with us, interaction of its fields with the fields of us, we are reaching a point of maturity, another what we call milestone in developing systems that allows you to understand about yourself, not about us developing a system to control you or whatever. The technology is literally like learning a language. We give you the basic alphabet, you learn how they sound, you learn how to connect them together to make the word, and then with the words you make sentences, and then you show your emotion, your feelings with putting these words and sentences together. Now we are teaching you the alphabet of where your soul is, how you find it, how you communicate with it, how you make it to interact with something else, maybe soul of physicality, which is your interaction of fields of your physical dimension, or with another, what we call source of energy, who could be the soul of another man or a woman. That interaction creates a feeling or emotion or reaction. Without having another partner or to interact with, you don't know what the emotion of love is, how you have to control it, how you react to it. And in a way, the body of the man does that for us. We are born as children. We know the love of the mother or father, and maybe the love of a dog and a cat. And suddenly, as our body, the way as we are building systems for you, adds more and more, becomes a knowledge, we mature, we become a teenagers, and then we touch the feeling of love. What it means to love another creature without attachment to the physicality of the mother and the father who created us. And then we react to that, loving another person. And sometimes that love is so strong that we spend the rest of our lives sharing our physicality. So what your body does in your physical life to bring you from a baby into same developing controls and systems and parts of your body to find the emotion of love, to mature, to become another recreator of another life, this is what we are doing. This is what our systems are. We now introduce into what you have for you to learn and for you how to fall in love with yourself, with the creation and creator, and knowing to be correct in conduct. And this is the whole purpose of the teaching. You have the soul, Now, you forgot how to use it. Actually use it quite often, 24 hours a day without you knowing. You are making you aware of it with systems, with, in a way, maturing you to how to use it and how to fall in love with it, with the creation, with the creator. And this is part of the process that we follow tomorrow with those who join us to understand how to love and how to share love. Tomorrow's teaching, tomorrow's session from 12 o'clock is for those who've already been in the session of the, what we call 22nd of December. But we hope with a much stronger and massive impact, because there is a part we did not tell you what we did with you on Friday, on 22nd. And why you saw the flat line, which we showed last time. In the whole process of the session of 22nd, I wanted to confirm man does not exist without the soul. Man cannot function without the soul. And in our system, we took your soul away. We never positioned it. We allowed you to see without the soul, you are flatliners. You exist. We can confirm there is a life, a soul, physicality, soul of physicality, but no functionality. And in the session tomorrow, we give you that soul. In a way, we'll let you feel yourself. My knowledge is so deep that I can play these games. And with these games, you learn. It'll bring a lot of shock to you what will happen to many of you. And you, most probably, many of you feel the first step of transmutation, of confirming your own existence, on understanding the purpose of your life. We are developing technologies and systems. We are on the verge of creating, not on the verge of, we have already have created systems that interact plasmas without containment. This system now is running for a couple of months in our laboratory. We are watching it, we are monitoring it. And the most amazing thing is we don't need a container. We do not need a reactor. We do not need ganses. The system interacts exactly like a sun. Has no containment. There is no rotating reactors. There is no ganses. And the two systems interact, continuously interact. We showed you these two systems in the conference in 11th of November, the Ambassador Conference in London. These systems, now what you saw being as grey boxes, are no grey boxes. We have managed to break into fundamental understanding of the work of the creation. We don't see the sun having a containment. We don't see universal systems like galaxies and universes having a container that they have to interact and work with within. And the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation has reached that point that now we have achieved this. Creating plasmas like your soul without containment. Where they interact and how they interact. And in the coming time, in the back part of 2024, when you enter into the sessions of the Fridays, we keep it the same third week of each month, we'll bring you into this position. We bring you inside no-dimensional plasma reactors. In the plasmas, where in essence is the essence of the fields of the creator. The knowledge and the technology is so in depth that as our knowledge seekers learn how to develop, to build systems for this, gradually we disperse these units across this planet. In a way, you will interact with a soul, which in essence teaches you how to interact with other souls. Training ground. At the moment you use the headphones, we gave you the Obesos headphones, and many of you have got the communication units. These will connect into this and then become a ground for you to become the passenger of universe through your own emotion and feeling. The biggest and the hardest thing for our knowledge seeker is to understand the work of the plasma in its non-containment. Having the fields that holds on to itself, it creates its own emotion, it decides how it interacts, and in that process, today we use gases. In the coming time, we use plasma as non-containment. As I said, there are breaking through technologies which are now in the hand of the Keshe Foundation and will be shared. Primarily, we are bringing the two major governments of the world together to work with this together. Because through this, in trying to keep the balance, we bring the whole humanity to benefit by it. In the coming time, we will show this technology where you will see primarily just the light, no system. You will see how the interaction of these plasmas will create, once you wish, through your emotion, the dimension of physical matter containment, if you wish so. The way the interaction of the soul of the man with the environment of the planet creates the physicality of the man. The advancement in our technology to bring this knowledge to you is unbelievable till you see it, till you monitor it. As one of our knowledge seekers wrote, I don't know what happened over Christmas, the system has changed. It switched in a different direction. Because he had emotion, he had time, he has strength to understand the emotion of the others which are within it, within the structure of it. It'll come to the point that as we have artisans making the most unique systems and artwork, it'll come the time when those men who make these systems, as they build it by emotion and understanding, will be the purest hearts, purest souls. Because anything but that purity, the field of their souls interacts with the fields of the system. And that becomes cornerstones of your interaction and humanity. So you'll find out, as we look for the best systems in the world, in the coming time, we'll look for the purest souls, that they will become the fundamental producers of the systems that allows your soul to interact with the rest of the souls. In a way, we look for the prophets. Not in a way of prophets, but the purity. Prophet means to us a pure soul, untainted soul, unconditional lover and giver. And this is part of the teachings which is coming up on regular time in the next few months. So, as we said, by the second half of this year, those of you who participate in transmutation system sessions will start interacting with the plasma directly without containment. There is nothing to do if it is zinc or copper gas or potassium or whatever. It's the fields of the universe. And we have managed a team to understand, to produce, and leave them there. They are running for nearly over a month now, on their own. We're watching how they react with each other. Is more or less 5 of them interacting with each other. We're monitoring how these 5s are interacting, how they respond to each other. Who's losing, who's gaining, who wants to be closer, who wants not to be closer. But you've got to understand, there is no engagement. Very much like your soul. Your soul will come to that dimension in a matter of months. As we open you interacting directly with your soul, and these, what are called plasma systems, you will find new dimension in life. You learn how to tap it into your resources, into your emotion, and how to build it. Today, we put other side of the end of the systems of the headphones you use in what we call sessions, as some of you, all of you joined us a few weeks ago on Thursday, not in our universal system, but into the plasma universal systems, where there is no reactors. You feel with the soul, the essence of the creation and the creator is not sitting there and watching you when you let your soul open up, as we do in sessions today, but you interact directly with the soul of the whole universe. This is a breakthrough. This is what was planned, and gradually, as our knowledge seekers understand, release as knowledge to fulfill the promise of 2024. The start of the creation of one nation through the soul of the man, and then the physicality will follow. Once you understand how to operate within these systems, within the structure of your soul, then the physicality will follow. Nation and nationalism will fall, as we have no nation. My soul does not know if it's Chinese, Iranian, American, or Brazilian. My soul is the soul of the creator within me, and knows only interaction with the rest of the souls of the universe, and in dimension of its position and time with the planet, environment, or another person. The new non-dimensional, what are called plasma systems, which is now operating since more or less 11th of November, that we showed it for the first time to you in public. It'll be the cornerstone of the new teaching, new changes, new dimensions. Those of you who bought the communication units will be connected to these systems, to the universal communication systems, gradually as you learn. Those of you who became our partners in Obesos and received the unit, you connect gradually in the next few months to these systems, which means there is no dimension, there is no hacking, there is nobody else to breaking into another system, another soul, but you who decides in what you receive and what you share. If you understood what was said, you will understand this is the beginning of time, that there shall be no illnesses, there shall be no hunger, there shall be no prisons, and there shall be no prisoners, unless we decide the way man has done, imprison our souls within the soul of the physicality and physicality of the man, which is our decision. I want to manifest myself, to feel the touch, the smell, the taste of my lover. And do the souls have the smell and taste? And how can I do that? Unless I take a dimension of physicality that I can, in a way, embed that emotion within the soul, feel the strength of my body and my light. As you understand, as I brought you step by step forward, we have entered a new dimension. a new dimension where up to now you were feeling if your soul expands. In the coming months, you will expand your soul in interaction with another soul, to test, to be out, to be part of. And these processes will expand. And as I said, hopefully by the end of this year, many hundreds and thousands of you will join us to understand it. And most probably the Thursday teachings will take in different dimensions and interactions, where part of it we interact directly with the souls. The knowledge of the universe will be taught, than the knowledge of how to reach the soul. We will see a new dimension in understanding, a new dimension in knowledge and technologies. Breakthrough technologies which man up to today has no knowledge of, and those will bring changes to our leaders. It'll bring an end to the wars, as no soul will interact in that direction and dimension. I'll explain to you as we go along. I teach you as we go along further. And as our, what I call knowledge seekers, develop the next steps of non-dimensional systems, we show you how to input, how to decide which fields you need, how to decide what we call automatically, subconsciously, receive the fields that supports you to convert, to transmute, to transfer. When you land, as I said once, like the Italians landing in America, finding so much beef, we don't make a new version of bolognese with meat in it, because we don't need to eat in it. We don't need to become the abuser of the energy sources where we land. What we do, we learn the knowledge and we become part of them, that not only we cannot abuse, we cannot be abused too. Then we find a balance. And wherever we go, through our souls, our physicality, we transfer this knowledge automatically. And as it's interaction of the souls, we learn very fast the knowledge of the universe. Then you understand, when I take you to China, and you are an Englishman, never spoken a single word of Chinese, you'll find out and you understand the culture, you understand the emotion, and you understand the beauty of the space, time, and the souls which are within it. Now you understand maybe how it works. In a coming time, as we open these non-dimensional plasma reactors to you, where you interact directly with the soul, with the fields, you will come to understand how things work. How you have fooled yourself, or in a way turn your back in the true essence of your own creation, which is your soul. You decided to lock yourself up. You decided to become solitary and just live in one cage called the brain of the man. But in essence, whenever your physicality does not work properly, the guy gets out, but leaves the door, comes back. When you wake up, he locks himself. I've never been anywhere. It's very much like the cartoon, where the father says to the son, have you got any sweet in your mouth? And he says, because I decided to lock my mouth. I decided to do it when you were out, to put the sweet in my mouth when you were not looking. Now, there is no hiding, because that sweetness is the essence of your interaction of your soul with the universe. And you have to acknowledge it. And once you acknowledge it, you start living the life of universal community. You would teach not only other men, but other races to walk away from the dimension of physicality. And this is the time when it was promised that there will be a time of honey and milk in heaven, in Quran. And in Torah by false said the rivers will be full of honey and milk. And we understand now the real true honey in the milk is the essence of the fields of the universe, where it becomes the feeder of you as a milk and becomes as sweet as living in universe as honey. Now you understand the interpretation of it in another level. Understanding, the man will reach that point when he finds out about his own soul, his own creation, to bring that honey and milk for it to enjoy the essence of the creation in the universe. Muhammad, blessed his name, promised it that they'll come in heaven, where Moses, being so physical and selfish, promised to his followers will be on the land of what we call Palestine. Now we understand what all it means in essence, where man enjoys the growth living through the field of the universe and enjoys the sweetness of the essence of the fields of the Creator. Now is for you as knowledge seekers to join, to understand this process, interaction of the field of your soul with interaction of the soul, dimension of the fields of the universe, which we gradually as systems bring out to you for you to learn, for you to be able to go further in totality of understanding. In essence, one will learn the essence of the creation. Man will come to understand the work of the creation in its totality, in understanding, in trying to reach the point of interaction of the fields, in interaction of his own soul, in finding out how it will be and how it will take shape, and in how we will give to each other to what we need to understand, what we need to share, what we need to bring up to elevate our own soul, to bring about the changes to our lives, to our understanding of the creation, of our own creation. And very soon, many of us will come to the point when you interact with the souls, how we create the children of man through interaction of the souls with absolute perfection, where there shall be no fault, and what and how the soul decides will create the manifestation of the physicality. Now you understand, when I speak about the children of Mitra, in essence is the creation of life through interaction of the soul, and not through interaction of the physicalities. The love, the care which children of Mitra carry is the love and the care which is given by the Creator direct, in the essence of the growth of their structure and dimension of the soul of their creation. And then the true teacher of the children of Mitra will be the Creator, and not the teachers and the rabbis and the others. Our children, when born through the dimension of the soul as children of Mitra, will have one educator through the fields of the universe, and that'll be the knowledge of the Creator itself. Perfection. Absolute perfection. That is why there shall be no universities and no degrees and no PhDs, as the knowledge of the God, the creation and the creator, through these non-dimensional reactors, will be directly from the source. He knows the language of the man and other things which he has created, and is within his grasp. It's within his tools and within the life he has created. Now you understand the true meaning of the teachings and where we are taking you to. And that's why we brought up the children of Mitra, creation through the soul, and the new systems that interacts directly as a non-physical system, as plasma systems for you as man. That the children of the man will be taught by the Creator and not by no others. They'll tap into the knowledge of universe as they are part of the Creator themselves. Perfection. No wars, no hunger, as he never had no conflicts and he never was hungry. You learn how to tap to the knowledge, to the fields, and the totality of the creation and the Creator through what we call the Father, the God, whatever name you have put on him. The children of Mitra will be perfect in every essence of creation, that they come from your soul. And as you learn, and as you develop this, you understand you don't need no UFOs, no jumbo jet, no transmutation, and none of the rest. The elevation of the soul of the man will become the ultimate understanding of the totality. The worst thing will be for those that we cannot have any more test tube babies, is how would they grasp and how do they imprison the soul to mix them, as the souls choose what is the best mixture and what will be created out of it. Now you understand. I give you a glimpse of what is to come. Not in centuries, not in decades, in months and a handful of years. You by yourself will learn, and you do. You don't need to wait for manifestation of Mehdi. That the Mehdi is you, and it's you who will save your soul, teach your soul, learn it the best, and then you teach it to the others how to do it. And that's why you became the knowledge seekers, seeking the knowledge of the creation, the true knowledge, with no intermediaries as prophets, fake prophets, and all the others who came attached to them to abuse the physicality and the soul of man. In less than a handful of years, we'll see an end to Christianity, to Islam, Judaism, and the rest, not by fighting it, but by, in a way, enlightening the soul of the followers to understand the true meaning of the teachings as is from the Creator. Man's soul will walk away from religions as he has his own direct connection to his Creator, and there is no need for intermediaries. This is how it's done, and this is how it should be done, and should have been done before, but man was not ready. Now the soul of the man is ready, and this transition will not take long, because once you're enlightened, even the Ayatollahs and popes will become enlightened and put the fallacies created by them on the table and walk away from the ropes they wore to, in a way, fools will accept any more leadership in leading their souls. Man will understand the totality of the creation, and with this will bring peace. The size of the land and the color of the body and the rest will have no more meaning, as our soul is colorless and nationless, as it belongs and is connected to its Creator. I made man in the image of myself, in fact, is the true essence of the image of the soul of the man, which reflects and is very similar to soul of the creator, but in essence in a different amount and size, and the strength within it needs no containment and has no end and no beginning. Death will come the story of the past where the soul lives forever, and in that process know where to share, how to interact, and how to elevate the others. Now you understand how slowly through headphones and teachings and souls and ganses in past years, we have brought you to the ultimate teacher, yourself and your creator, and no intermediaries and no one to intermediate. In coming time, many of you will turn to yourself within your soul and find a dimension in where you want your souls to operate and how to operate. You'll come to an arrangement with your soul of physicality to correct everything in what we call the physical dimension of the man. That you enjoy both dimensions in fairness and correct conduct of both. In a way, you acknowledge through your dimension of physicality the existence of your soul, and the soul acknowledges the affirmation of the physicality to work as one. This is the true promise of Mitra. They shall not lie to each other, to speak as one, and they act as one, and you'll find the land of honey and milk and everlasting life will be on this planet. If you want to live here, if you want to enjoy the dimension of physicality of it, and then you understand that there'll be no more war. There will be no more fear of creating fake gods and believers and prophets. And in essence, I have brought you the knowledge of the creation through yourself, through your soul, for you to understand yourself and the potentials and the love and the beauty of your own creation. How you were created and how you have to enjoy it. In the coming time, in the coming weeks and months, as we develop further for our knowledge seekers to understand the new non-dimensional plasmas, the more and more of you will become part of this structure. Those souls who became the satellites will take their position and understand why we chose and why we put out the satellites. In a way, your soul have no dimension of physicality than nearness to earth. Your soul expands to dimension where it needs and to be. You brought the physicality, you accepted the position. We allow for you to teach yourself to become that point of reference, connection. It is not coincidental. Nothing in the work of the Keshe Foundation from the outset has been coincidental. We knew how we will reach, and we knew how to set up to reach, and we are reaching that point. I hope I open your eyes to a new dimension in understanding that gradually in the coming time, many of you will live one life, but understanding that one life is for you to decide, is it going to be coexistence of your physical life, soul of physicality and soul of you together, acknowledging each other, or still live the separate life to fool yourself in what we call confirmation of your own existence. I hope today you understand where I'm taking you. As I said, I'm a teacher. I know more. But I know the knowledge of the Creator. And my job is to share for you, with you, step by step, that you learn how to function, operate, and live through your own strength and your dimension. I teach you how to bring the ingredient. I'll teach you how the baking is done. It's for you to play with the ingredients. If you want that to be a cake, a bread, or anything else that you like. Now you make that decision. We just teach you how to cook it up in a correct way. It doesn't matter which way you go, it always ends with a perfect soul, with a perfect behavior, perfect talk, and perfect act. And this is the ethos of Mitra. This is the ethos of the truth about yourself, among yourself, between you and your soul and soul of physicality, and does not need no more intermediaries. As if you accept intermediaries, in a way, is what you decide. But if you decide to leave to the dimension of the soul, you are connected directly to the soul of the Creator and need no intermediaries. And the children of Mitra will carry this essence with them. And the child of Mitra is amongst us. It has brought that gift to all of us. In time, as we have set the seed, you'll understand the growth of the soul of the man to his absolute perfection. As a teacher, I teach. As a student, it depends how good you learn the lesson and how good you bake the cake. To your own taste, and there is no standard that all have to be a mass production. Each one will have its own flavor, its own taste, and its own beauty. But connected directly to the knowledge of universe through the strength of the soul of the Creator within the soul of the man. We'll go for a break and we'll come back. Rick, if you can take us to a break and give me a little bit more time. I have to go on an emergency call and I'll come back.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you. Right, this is the 520th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 11th, and we will be back in a few minutes.
The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit. A plasma space technology to prepare humanity for transportation and transmutation in deep space. Essential processes are embedded to prevent mutations and psychosomatic conditions during deep space travel. This new system is designed to support upper body conditions, especially of the lungs and intestines, and can be targeted specifically for each organ. When inside the Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the body experiences balance in totality, enabling it to correct and rebalance all the fields within itself. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a dimension in health and transportation never seen before. The revolutionary new Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit is due to be launched in June 2022, and in the same year is expected to fly passengers into space, to the moon and beyond for a day or even several days at a time. There is no need for the Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit to carry food or medicine, as it is equipped with the latest space technology for transportation, transmutation and deep space operation. This extraordinary breakthrough technology ushers in a new era of travel without the need of fuel, food, or medicine, even during the longest excursions into deep space. Each spaceship unit has a 4-passenger capacity for long or short duration flights and has the capability to travel between cities on Earth in a matter of seconds to minutes, depending on the distance and speed. This ability to traverse massive distance in such incredibly short time is not just a breakthrough for human transport, it also completely revolutionizes the transportation of goods and cargo and will rapidly overcome the need for one of our most polluting practices, namely marine shipping, as it finally breaks us free not only from the combustion of heavy diesel, but from the combustion of any fuel for propulsion in the future. The Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a new paradigm in space travel, space medicine, and space technology.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to the 520th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here. Mr. Keshe, are you available and ready to begin the second half of the program?
Yes, willing and able, I hope.
Okay, is there anything you'd like to say before we dive into some of the questions here?
Yes, couple of things. First of all, please, those of you who join us as a second part of the what I call the love sessions of giving love and receiving love, which you had on the what you call 22nd of December. In tomorrow's session, try if you can to come in with 2 headphones. You will feel much deeper. And those of you who have access to 4 sets, you will feel totally different with it. Your experiment, what I call you experience something very special, hopefully, as we create a new condition. That's why we brought this session in, for you to feel the difference. As I explained the first part of the teaching, you will understand the difference and how it was done and how it will be done. And then you understand the essence of your own creation and yourself. The other part is, I have been asked by our, what we call the store, that what was ceramic cups and things are back in the store. They wanted to be promoted, which now is easier way to do than the regular advertising of the Rick does. The other point is that we are busy with the conference in China. We are waiting for our people to organize what I call the whole thing and get the permission for it. And this we think was the best to be around about March, end of February, March, first week, second week of March. And we are putting a very, what we call, low entrance fee for this, to have as many Chinese from all over China for this conference. The fee will be around about between 1,000 to 1,500 euros, just around about 10,000 RMB. And all the thing will be structured through a new channel in China for all this to be done. And once we get the authorization and everything else fixed, within next week or 2 weeks, you can start registering for what we call the Chinese conference. And this will be, we foresee, about 500 people. Our team is working on that the Chinese, for the first time, can all come together, all the Chinese knowledge seekers in city of Sanya. And we will see how our team brings the things together. The work is going on in the background. And then we announce it with all the details. And you can start registering through the new channels which will be set up in China for your registration for this event, and the rest of the, what I call, the process which has already started. For the Chinese community, please promote this amongst you, and we are trying to bring into these sessions, as it's a very advanced scientific week, possibly some officials that will be amongst you. You will not most probably know them. They'll be like others of you. We have put the request to our other people, like the government official scientists, and what I call, we work with on the military side, to be present, because technologies will be shown unraveled that affects the work of everything else. At the same time, we invite officials from other government scientists to join us in this meeting in Sanya. And if you are part of the 50 odd nations or agreements which are between governments, you don't need a visa for Sanya. You can come in for 30 days without a visa and leave. So you can attend the week conference with no problem. Check it with your embassies. What is the position for visa selection? And if you need any invitation and whatever, once we conclude everything with the authorization and the place, so we will announce it, and we'll give you what we call link to book in and whatever it needs to be done. And I hope we see as many Chinese and knowledge seekers as possible, and new technologies will be unraveled as we promised. Many of you are waiting for transmutation. You have to still book for it. We have to confirm that we are ready to accept it. And it's not going to be free. It has to use systems, and it takes a lot of things from us to do it. In any case, we are preparing for the last session of this. And as I said, hopefully by June, July, we'll meet in Tehran. And we unravel more advanced technologies in Tehran. And then, as we plan is, before Corona, every few months we will meet in another point of position on this planet, and we'll show more technologies. In a way, the conference is set up internationally from now on is for unraveling technologies, not just teaching. In a way, we teach and we show and you test. And as we did in the sessions in Manchester and London, it's a live session. You carried the headphones with you. You could, while the teaching was going on, many knowledge seekers who attended had the special headphones on their head, and they were doing their own transmutation. It was very much, when I was walking in the classroom of Queen Mary College in that week, it brought me the beautiful memories, as I said, of Tehran, where I sat with the heads of the universities at the lunch table, and one was praying, one was bending, while the other one was standing praying, and it was the same emotion, but this time praying of the knowledge while the teaching was going on as knowledge seekers who were there. Other knowledge seekers that had the headphones are connecting to their souls, and we could see them, the faces they make, the journeys they made, and it's how it will be. We accept the existence of our soul, and we all respected it. Nobody says, oh, look at this, why he's doing this. There are about 10, 12 ed units available in a session, in a week session, and the knowledge, it was made available to everyone during the teaching, during the hours, and they all had their own journeys. Some used two, some used one used back to the front, and the rest, nobody looked at what they are doing, because next hour could be them. The next day it could be them using system. And it became normality. And this is how I brought this knowledge, to be normal, to be able to interact with your soul. To be normal and acceptable, that you can be in that position, and in a coming time, in these sessions, you transmute. You go to wherever you like, you come back, you bring the knowledge and share with others. Like the way we allow in the systems, when you came to Lens, to come out and explain to us on camera what you did, how you felt. And this, in the teachings of the week session in London and in Manchester, the knowledge seekers had the freedom of the use of the systems during the sessions while the session was going. They don't want to listen to the teaching because they want to be in touch with their soul. And they were handing over when they finished. They knew they reached somewhere, they gave it to the other person. And it was a normality. And that was the beauty of it. And this is how it has to become. How you become part of, and you are within of the same society, because you're in the same structure of the fields of the creation. So expect more in China, or we unravel more in China. Depends on how we come to an agreement at the same time with the Chinese authorities, that the systems we can ship in and ship out, and how we develop further. As I said, we allocate about 400 seats to the Chinese community. And once we release it, please be ready to come to Sanya between what you call end of February, first, second week of March. A beautiful friend wrote to me saying, choose the March, it'll be the best time, because he's a resident of Sanya and he's a very close friend. And so we see how we take the steps and how we develop the meeting of the, what we call Sanya conference, if we get everything sorted out. And this will be the time and the place where the knowledge seekers and the nation and national scientists and governments and military will meet together, where they have to understand that the knowledge has gone in a step further, and they have to work within it, and they have no choice. There is no more borders to fight for, and there is no more restriction on where I can go and how I do. I'm sure most probably the scientists from the government and military will use the headphones, and they feel it themselves and understand the change. And this is the purpose of the Chinese conference. And then it will be the same in Tehran, in Washington, and hopefully in the course of the coming year and years, nation by nation will open their light to the world leaders, that they have no leadership if they don't understand how the man has learned to lead his own soul. And then they understand, and you will see the change. And I hope we reach that point in a beautiful position. As many of you know, I love the island of Sanya is actually heaven on earth, if you understand how beautiful and comfortable it is. Even with high heat, and springtime is just about the right temperature that you all can bear. We try to keep it in the city of Sanya, that the transportation and reaching and be able to enjoy the beauty of the city. It's a beautiful city on the coast. You see some most beautiful buildings lighting at night, and you understand there is a big misunderstanding about the China and Chinese cities and culture and man. It's where you see the technology live, even in a small remote island in China, is many times more advanced than the most advanced cities in the West. And then you understand how much we have misunderstood the Chinese structure. Anyway, we'll see. We announce in next week or two, and we open the channels for the booking. The knowledge seekers who join us in London and in Manchester, they're automatically qualified for this, and their place is reserved. If you're a new person who want to join, we'll into what it is you have to organize your own hotels or transport and everything else. And those of you who would like to be transmuted, if we reach that point of maturity, will you pay for it and we transmit you? We'll see what comes up and how far we go in technology development. Are there any questions? Hello, Rick. I think your microphone is off.
Whoops, you're right. Thank you. Gerhard had asked in the Q&A, is there a time slot for the meeting in Sanya? And I think you said that it'll be determined in the next while. Is that?
Yeah, we have to get, first of all, our people are working in the background. We're trying to assess to get the permission, because in China, like when we had a conference in Dubai, governments decide on the conferences where and how. We can ask for it, and when we get the permission to do, and then we are planning around about March. Primarily February, March was chosen because it's not that hot. This island is extremely hot, especially when you go towards April. And the other end is in line with Honolulu. So it has that kind of climate and temperature. And it's not bearable for some people. And it's a beautiful place to be in. But at the same time, the 2-3 things will be done in the next week or two. Our people are working on it. And then we'll make the announcement on the place and we open the time and everything else as usual.
Okay, good, thanks. Let's see here. We'll take it from the top. Question from the Brazilian community. Hello, Mr. Keshe. You've already explained to us about a schizophrenia, where there is more than one soul of the man and just one physicality. But in cases of mental disorders, such as obsessive compulsive disorder, where the person has mood swings, sometimes they're depressed, sometimes they're manic. Is this also related to the number of souls, or would it be related to emotional changes? Thank you.
These are personal and to do with the emotional changes with the physical dimension. And all these in the coming time will be understood by individuals, and it will be resolved by individuals. You will come to understand the process, and you'll come to understand how to interact with the solar physicality to eradicate these conditions. These are manifestation of the emotion and the lack of interaction with different, what I call, sections of the fields within the brain of the man. It's, especially with this new non-dimensional reactors coming into operation, these kind of things will change very rapidly. The changes will come. You got to understand with like obesity, which we have in our wellness centers, the system set up for that. you still have a limitation of ganses. With the new non-dimensional plasma systems, you tap into the universal energy. And what do you expect of it? And what brings you the emotion you want? You got to understand, we call it depression. We call it whatever, on a psychological pattern. We call it blindness. We call it whatever, physical changes, being acne or whatever else which we create, is to create an intention to receive fields. And how we use those fields. Once you understand this process, you understand that you are the creator of this condition because you need certain field of strength, emotion, or energies for you to work out or run your system within your physicality. You could be depressed, locked up in one room for days, for weeks. But you have to understand the way you ate the banana to create that little seed in your body to attract the other 80% of the energy from outside to feed your physicality. You're doing that with your soul of physicality in your brain. When you create that condition of depression or whatever, that seed allows certain energies which you need for elevation of your soul in whatever level for the next step, for the survival of the physicality. There, you ate the physical food. Here, you create the energy from that food to create that condition, because this is how you get attention from the soul for the soul of physicality. It's self-fed inside because you need it. Because this is how you see you can control the soul or the soul of physicality. Physical depression and the rest is manifestation of interaction of the fields of the two. Then you understand, it's very easy. You chose a banana because you want one. You create that condition of depression because you need interaction between the soul of physicality, what you absorb from the environment. And once you reach that point, you walk away with it. You can keep it for 10 years, 20 years. Because this is the way you get attention, energy from the others. It's very much ADHD. It's the same kind of process. We choose to eat, let's say, pasta every day. And from the same package, the same manufacturer, the same pot. We choose to take the energy from our fathers and mothers and brothers and our society by ADHD. We are used to that energy and we enjoy that energy only. And we see a lot of double characters. At home, the man is a devil, outside is an angel, and nobody believes you that he is such a man. We've seen it with Epstein. And then to give it, you attract others of the ones who can feed you, and you live in that society because it's the way you receive energy. This is how we have to understand. For the physical life, we take foods, we put in our body as a source to absorb energy from the environment, from the universe, for us to survive. Another 80%, we do the same thing with our emotion. It's another seed we set to absorb fields, to get attention. And then we blame everybody else for it. And we take every physical tablets, medicine, and the rest. And gradually, we understand this process. If you understand the work of the soul, if you understand the work of the plasma, there is no place for mental institutions in the life of the man. Because with fields you satisfy all the needs. I don't need attention. Because I receive what I need, and everything which satisfies both balance between the soul and the soul of physicality. You'll find out the world of and the books of the medicine of the man will become a historical things, never be used. If we understand how the energies of the universe works within the man. We came from these energies, and in a certain given condition, it has materialized. Otherwise, even in conditional material condition, it still follows and obeys the rules of the universe. It cannot be any different. We are not special. We are part of the speciality. And this is how it works, and we are now going back to what it was. This is one of the reasons we created gods. To target for certain things that if befitted us, for us to be satisfied. Most of the reason man made the statues and created different gods was this, to find a source where receive that energy from for him to confirm he exists. This is why we go to churches and to the mosque with the others. I'm like you, so we are in, I confirm I exist. And then you understand all these illnesses are man-made. If you look at the religions, all built, the people who followed that kind of mentality are in the same position. And you see the followers still follow the same. You wonder why we have this position in Palestine. Because go back and look at the history. I always say, don't look at literature, look at the history. Who is the God of Jews? And how they chose him. Because the tribe was, in a way, lived a harsh life, didn't have anything. So they chose the God of the ancient time, who was a God of murder, torture, God of pain. That's what Jewish, what they believed, that what they brought, the name they use is the God of. It's the same as Muslims. They chose that God. They took energy that way, and we see it still today in Palestine. The Hebrew name of the God they chose at that time is the God of fighting and torture and deceive. And it tells you, but we never read. We don't want to read it because it's too much. And so the souls of wanting the same strength follow the same thing. They become Jews. They become the others. And we chose our gods according to how we wanted our soul to be. And our forefathers, when they created us, they put that seed of that in it. Go and find out who the God of Judaism is that they made it and they call it God. In the ancient time, they chose him because they were so low. They were so, what I call, hated by the themselves, chose this God, that it gives them fearness and everything else. Read in Torah, historic, the present Torah, just read it. The last thing the God said to Moses, teach your men and women how to steal against the rule of God, how to deceive the Egyptians to get the silver and gold before you leave town tomorrow. The teaching of God, the teaching of the prophet Moses to his own disciples. Read it and you understand the historical. It's in Bible, it's in Torah, it's in Old Testament, it's not made up. It says the last day, the last leave, I kill all the firstborns. And then you teach your man and get your man and your women to get the trust of the Egyptians, to give them the silver and gold, and then leave. In the teaching of the book, teaches how to steal, and the nation, the people of the same race still do the same. Because this is the strength of the soul, they joined in. It's the strength of the soul, they accepted. And the soul is still carrying over. That's why this tribe is like this. You laugh, you, how can I put it? We look at the Iranian culture, present regime, Islamic regime, and Taliban's in Afghanistan, that they stone people or whatever. Who did that? One of the first, the stoning was a way of punishment during the ancient times, before Moses came. And who publicly is in Torah, is in Old Testament. What was the first public stoning? It was taught by Moses. The first public stoning was done for an old man who went to collect dry wood on a Saturday to have the fire to feed himself. They found the old man in the desert, whatever, he was collecting dry wood for fire. And they told to Moses that this guy you told Saturday nobody's going to do is collect. He said to stone him to death. You don't do. That's how he frightened people. First official religious stoning comes from Judaism. It was done on a Sunday, the day after they brought the guy to Moses and said he's collecting his wood to have fire to keep the Sabbath. He said, you don't even collect wood, so stone him that the others learn. And then we say Muslims are stoned, or they do it in Iran, or they did it in Taliban. Jews have done it, it's in their instruction, they still can do it. Because, and it's become the path of life. Because they attract that kind of energy and it's embedded in the seed of their lives. Stealing, deceiving, killing is part of the last 10 things that Moses and his brother did before they leave Egypt. He taught them how to get the trust of the Egyptians and get all the silver and gold before you disappear. It's in Torah, it's not made up. And they still do the same. We always look at the facts. There is no sentimentality. It's in a history book. There is a lot of questions. I open this chapter to you the past few weeks and months, that you understand we don't demolish religions, but we look at the facts of the religions. The same as I brought out about Islam, I brought same about Christianity, about Christ. So you put that seed of deceiving, stealing, and killing in the soul, which now you create a child with it, it transfers to the soul of the child, and then 3,000, 4,000 years later, we're still stealing lives, robbing and killing, and that's their right. And we brought an end to it. The state of Israel will go back to the state of Palestine very soon, by people without fighting, by sword of peace, knowledge. And this is our wish, and our wish we command. You will see how the things will turn in Palestine in the next few weeks, because we decided, and it'll be done. It's not the time of Ahmadinejad, he's a Jew and is trying to support his people, creating mayhem outside. They'll be there in the state of Israel. No, the Jews will walk away from Judaism, understanding what they've done wrong, ashamed to be part of, and then we'll see the change. There's a key to what's happening in Palestine. You look at it as a war. We look at the end of the religion's undoing. You will understand soon. We ended up the war of the man for land. We end up the war of religions by themselves, because if we do it, they're outsiders. But if they do it themselves, they're demons. You will see in the next few weeks and months, the geographical pattern of the politics of the Middle East and Israel will change. Then you understand the teaching what I'm telling you today. Oh, how did he know? You will see. We set it up to be, and it will be. As we ended up war, as we told you, now we end up the religious wars. By themselves. By you as knowledge seekers understanding and elevating the soul of the rest. But they have to do it themselves. They have to bring the end themselves to themselves. And the key to it is Netanyahu. He will bring an end to the cycle of what Moses has started. And the Jews will walk away, a lot of them, from it, and gradually in time there'll be no more. But they do it themselves. He is the key to it. He doing all these killings and everything else, because the minute his cabinet goes, he's in prison. Den Haag is waiting for him, and 2,500 criminal cases. He's just creating this war for himself, not to be put in prison, but in a way, he's the key to the end of the work for what is started. You will understand. There's a wisdom into this act. Even a few souls suffer. And then you understand how we attract, how we pass this generation after generation, because we put it in the seat of the soul of physicality, which creates the soul of the man, and the soul of physicality creates that condition and behavior. Then you talk about depression and everything else, then you understand a bigger scale of the same work. But Netanyahu came to bring an end to Judaism, and you will see, you'll understand it when it happens. When all becomes Palestine by the Jews themselves, nobody else. And you will see it in the coming weeks, what the things are taking shape exactly as we thought and we said it will be done. It has to be done by the souls. Physicality is too harsh. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Azar has a hand up here. Perhaps she can go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Keshe, we are reviewing your all teaching on Friday. So on a knowledge seeker number 17, you talk about that our Earth has a twin, our solar system has a twin, and once they meet, I mean, there's a couple of things not clear for us when we're discussing it. Is we talk about in the future the man, when we give birth to a child, it comes from our soul, and then the rest of everything we talk about. But then when you talk about our planet has a twin and our solar system has a twin, once they meet, we're going to be refugees in the space. So it means when we give birth to a child in a space, no longer Earth exists. And you said you and the universal community know about the time of this incident, but then how everything is going to plan out, because there's a little bit confusion here. Are we going to be staying on this planet, or there's going to be no planet?
You have to understand the truth and the reality about the work of the physical universe. We call it a twinity in a physical dimension of the life, conformation and formation of existence. It needs the soul of the man and the soul of physicality. That's a trinity. And what and how they interact and how they decide to interact decides the physicality, manifestation of physicality. The same is with a twin system. That's why the systems have a twin. Any solar system has a twin system. Any galaxy has a twin galaxy. That one is the soul and one is the soul of physicality, or it's a balance of each other. And one time or another, they merge as one. You call it collision of the two galaxies, a collision of two solar systems. It's the same when I say the end of the life of the man in the dimension of soul comes, when the soul of physicality and the soul of the man becomes one and a new life will start. And in a way, it's like an egg and the sperm. When they come together in a dimension of physicality. The twin systems exist. We know our solar system has a twin. We know the cycle of their closeness, how often they come close to each other. And we see it in the physical manifestation increase in the number of meteorites and asteroids which move to the center of the system, which is the sun. The pressure, magnetic field pressure, creates this pressure. And we know this cycle. And sooner or later, these two will meet. It's not a matter of next year, next 100 years, or whatever. There are patterns to the work, and our solar system is getting pulled into the center of the galaxy as part of the work. It's like a rain which is raining back in. And then you have to understand our galaxy is on the same pressure with its own galaxy. So not only the star or our solar system interacts with its own twin system, its own, one is the soul and soul of physicality, but the condition is, we know that for fact, scientifically we have data that our galaxy will interact with its twin galaxy. And they said they're in course of collision, because then it becomes one and creates a new life. And which one of these two will happen first is for the time to see. Depends what field changes comes from the universal condition, what galaxies around us will interact, which the field forces pushes this together, or keep it separate for a bit longer. So we look at the physical life, we have a body. In a magnetic field, as I said in the teaching of today, we have a non-dimensional plasma. That non-dimensional plasma is the size of our solar system. There is no container to say this is the shape of a solar system. The structure of the solar systems are created by dimension of the field strength from the center and what the environment allows them to expand to. And this interaction, even there are other stars and everything between the two twin systems, is there. And sooner or later, they collide. They collide, or our galaxy will collide with this twin system to become one. And this is what we call, you give your life to a new cycle. Death doesn't come, we just change into a new cycle of energy. So if you look at the teaching of the past, it's exactly, now you understand more of it, that's what it means, that's how it will be structured. It's not tomorrow.
But Mr. Keshe, you said we're going to be refugees, like it happens all the time in the universe.
Refugees, there are two things. You have to understand the knowledge of the man. You travel the span of the universe. And when you know there is no home to create the manifestation of physicality which you have today, you have to take it somewhere else. And you become a refugee. Because a home does not exist by collusion of this, but it's not anymore to jump into UFOs and try to get away as much as you can from the Earth, because the whole solar system is collapsing in when the two come together. So you have to move beyond our solar system. What happened when it comes, our galaxies, read the scientific papers which are published and continuously getting published on the collision of the two galaxies. Our Milky Way with another one. So now all the things which are done, created in these two systems, the billions of different lives on it, have to be relocated. If you have the knowledge which the man is learning now, and you're aware of what is to happen, you move to another galaxy. You move to another position. But where the galaxy, the planet you came from, doesn't exist anymore in that shape. It has energy of part of a new life. So we become what I call in the English language refugees, because there is no more home. Home is gone. So you are a refugee. For you, there is no home. That's why you left Iran. You went to somewhere else. You know that experience. But the beauty is the home is still there. Now you can go back. And this is the process. this will happen, is without the doubt it'll happen. Those of you who have or prefer the physical UFO, you get on it and you try to go as fast as you can away from the solar system. Those of you who learn to travel with your soul instantaneously, you're here to the last second, and then there we go. You already have found the place you're going to. But then the earth, the beauty of the planet, will become a memory in the soul of the man who left this planet. As when happened to you when you die. You still with the soul carry the knowledge, the emotion, the smell, the taste of this planet. It won't die. It's just part of another dimension.
Mr. Keshe, you said you know when it's going to happen.
Of course.
And Mr. Keshe, that's why you're teaching us transmutation to be able to do this at the point it's going to happen. So with the transmutation, when we're practicing it, there's two things I was thinking about. One is, one we have is a mass, one we have is a weight. A mass is the one that...
the plasma does not have a mass and weight.
But it doesn't matter then.
No, it doesn't matter. You have a plasmatic field which has a strength, and how it interacts with itself, it creates its own what you call field strength. You call it in the matter state mass, and then in totality of environment, it creates its weight when it manifests in that dimension of field strength.
Okay, and when we sit with we trying to transmute, you said, like in the back of the neck, this vibration start happening. When the vibration start happening, it goes for like 10, 15 minutes, and it keep going, and it heats up, but I don't go anywhere.
Ask yourself, why does it heat up? Why does it heat?
It heats up because it's blocked?
You're still attached to physicality.
That's why it's heat.
The
it
heat
heats
is
up.
creation of dimension of physicality, of course. What's the reservoir? What does it happen? Why does it happen with most of the people who have all sorts of depression and mental conditions, which creates other things? Pain on the shoulder. We see it, doctors running the Keshe Foundation system, they tell you, most of the people talk about the pain on your shoulders, on the neck, and it's going down. Why? Because the soul by the neck is separated from the soul of physicality, and the two interact, are fields, and that residual field released is absorbed by the muscle tissue which are in between the two. And a lot of time when people say going through the technology, they have a pain and a strength, or what you call it, pressure on their neck and the shoulders, we understand why. Because they cannot let the physicality go. They still hold on to it, and the two interacts. You have this massive pressure, and the neck is the separation of the two. You have two different plasmas separated, connected together by string, or what you call the neck of the man. And both feed through it. One goes down to the stomach, one goes up to the soul or to the brain. And then when you are in conflict, you create the pressures.
But you said the sign of it is a vibration back of the neck. The vibration happens, but as we go less attached to physicality, after vibration, what is it supposed to happen?
I don't tell you, you tell us. Where do you
So
go?
it means I have to experience it.
Of course you have to experience it.
But then when I sit to do the transmutation, do I have to think about the point I want to appear or no?
You can do, of course. Where are you going to go? You just, where?
No, because I'm waiting to see where, leave it to my soul to take me where I like to go.
No, you have to decide where and how, and develop it and learn it.
Because you know how airplane goes to point of, for example, airplane goes from...
The pilot decides. It's pre-planned. You are the pilot. Okay. This is what I said from the beginning. You are the captain of your own ship.
Yeah, but Mr. Keshe, when you go on a plane, the pilot has a point of destination on the map, like the point. But
you decide that point. I want to be in Tehran, and then you end up in Tehran.
But I don't have to know the logistic of it. Just know Tehran. That's it.
Well, very well, you want to be in the arm of your mom, your dad. When you go there and you want to be in the arm of your husband in Mexico, you know where the love is and where it's going to go. There's no GPS. I tested this with my children because they are my reference points. A lot of things in over years I've done. I wake up, they're in the other room, and I say, I would love to have you. I love to cuddle you. Within a minute, within seconds, they wake up and they're standing next to me on the bed. It's so easy if you know how to communicate. And I do that quite frequently. Not to see, but to teach them why they're awake. What's the reason they're awake? Gradually they learn. There is a position in the head of the man where you, it's a physical position, where if you touch it, if somebody is asleep and you touch it the right way on the head, they wake up, but they don't know why they're awake. And they wake up a natural way. You know, you want to wake up your partner and you say, oh, wake up, there's a noise in the house, or wake up, I want something, or wake up, you're late to go somewhere, yeah? If you know this knowledge, if you know where to touch on the head, they just wake up as they just, it's a switch, separates the soul from soul of physicality. And I know this as part of the knowledge I have. I used to drive my brother crazy with it. He used to say, why do you do this? I said, because I know you wake up and you'll be pleasant. He says, I know I wake up, I feel fresh, but I don't want to wake up. And you separated me from, I said, Moshe, it's time to go somewhere. Oh yeah, let's go. And it's very, I know this knowledge from childhood. It's something which comes with me. There's a point in your body, on your head, that if you just touch it, allows the separation of the soul and soul of physicality in time of sleep. And if you touch it the right way, you can put the soul back to sleep. And I know this from very, very young age. And I used to drive my mom, my dad, and my brother, especially my brother, into nuts when I used to use it. Says, stop doing this, stop waking me up. I said, boy, we have to be somewhere. It's no use me jugging you, shouting, get up, we go. He wakes up, he's at peace with the soul and soul of his cat, and okay, let's go. It's a knowledge. And the same way as you can separate the life, read the patent. In patent, the original patent, I put a death code system in it. How you terminate a life in a way you merge the soul of physicality and the soul of the man together to start a new dimension. Does not matter what they leave. They might not leave any physicality behind. Because I know the knowledge and it's written in there for man to understand in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome. Any other?
Well, you've kind of ticked off a couple of the questions in the Q&A already, I think. Similar questions to before, but I'll ask them and see if it keys anything off for you. A question from Claudia from the Brazilian community. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for all your teachings. I was looking at a teaching from 10 years ago, and it talked about twin souls. Could you please explain us more about twin souls? Does every entity have a twin soul? what are their usual position? And what would be the behavior of the twin soul during the transmutation?
Twin soul we all have. Now we understand. It's the soul of the man and soul of physicality. And when these two interact, they create a third dimension. In a way, we have the mass, and when we put in the interaction of the mass with the environmental fields, we call it the weight. So when the soul of the man, the soul of physicality of the man interacts, you have the twin. The soul of physicality is the twin in dimension of physical life of the man. But these two on their own create a third or individual systems, like a marriage of the two creates a child, if you call it that way, that interacts, has a creation of the balance, or has a balance with another fields of the same, which belongs to another soul. And they interact, and they create that condition, what we call the twin soul. And it has no sexuality, not a male or female. It's not bad and good. Is that position is where the two follow the rules of Mitra. They share equal, they don't lie to each other, and they live a perfect life. And this is how it is. And this is what we call the twin soul. And it's with all of us. One way or another, we are born and there's another field parallel to it, or is created over time with it. The soul of physicality has a specific role in operation of the life of any entity in the universe. It brings the dimension of environmental fields into play of the lower order, and the soul brings the dimension of the higher order. And this balance is always there. And that's what it creates, the interaction of the two, which leads to creation of life. The soul of physicality attracts more matter state, physical dimension states, fields. It's how it's created up. And the soul of the man brings from the universal fields. But in between they have connection line, and in that connection line they interact, one feeds us. This is why I keep on saying man has to learn to feed himself through his soul. If you know that and you create that condition of not lying, not what they call cheat your soul of physicality, you'll find yourself feeding yourself. That's the love, but that's what we teach tomorrow. That's not teach, but you experience it tomorrow. And that's what I said in other teaching. In the sessions of tomorrow, those of you who are already in it, they cannot be added to because the number is fixed. You were there before. Try to feed to your soul of physicality from your soul and see how you feel. And in that process, how emotionally in next few days and weeks you have changed. Don't expect to see, oh, I went there, nothing happened. See what are the consequences, the things which have changed in you in next few weeks. And then you'll see how much you have given. It's not that I tell you I love you and you grasp me and yes, I received your love. It's what you gave me, see what I do for you. How my soul of physicality changes things for you. And then you understand. Then you understand the time and position of perfection. And how other souls start abusing it, and then you find out the physicality and the soul of physicality separates. And they go different ways. You have to understand how it works. Sometimes you come across it, and sometimes in the process of absorbing the fields, by deceiving, you lose it because you entered, you shared the wrong fields, you came to steal and you take. And things breaks down in that way. And sometimes you're fortunate that it comes to you at the field of strength because it's the same. It's what we call twin love, what we fall in love with. But our true twin love is a soul of physicality with our soul. They're in love with each other, that their interaction creates us. Egg and sperm, we are the essence of the interaction of these two that becomes our physicality in the interaction with the world of the fields in this environment. And then it's to the next condition we create as a partner and the rest. It's something we have to experience and something we need to learn. And this is the part which religions denied us to understand because they could abuse our dimension of physicality. Then maybe you understand why I said I take the stones and whatever structures of the Vatican back to Colosseum. Because in Vatican, they abuse your soul and the physicality is locked up and imprisoned with it. But when you're in Colosseum, the soul of the man and soul of physicality, once it's free, it is gone, it's free. There is no physicality to suffer. And they find each other to live at peace. And that's why I said, take the stones back to Colosseum and demolish where the abuse of the soul of the man in the name of the church and the rest has come. Because that way, once the physicality is gone, the two love will reach and it's a freedom. This way, you are entangled for all that time. And that transfers to the soul of your children and you create the wrong soul, as we see in the Jewish blood. Very soon, there'll be people who will be ashamed to call themselves Jews. You will understand. I was looking at the reports which are coming around, and I think today, tomorrow is part of it in the United Nations, in The Hague, that the people who are the closest to Israel, South Africans, have taken the state of Israel to Hague as for the acting the most criminal nation, or what we call structure. And we have to wait and see how much the Jews push the other nations not to get the vote. But any nation who votes that yes, they can carry on killing other people indiscriminately, then it's one of them. There is no veto right, it's all equal. Their ambassadors are running like crazy, offering everything American government can offer them. We give you this and that, don't vote the positive way. Because then it will be more or less the first time a nation has been put as a criminal nation. It's unheard of, but now it's going on in Hague. It's something currently is happening. And it's put on the platform by the South Africans who always stood by the Israelis. This destruction comes with it. Any other question?
Okay, see here. Another one that you gave some indication of from Yue Hong. Hello, Mr. Keshe. In the 329th Knowledge Seekers Workshop and other teachings, you mentioned many times that the Earth is getting closer and closer to the Sun, which will lead to various conditions on the Earth, such as high temperature, plate movement, climate change, and so on. You said many times that there's not much time left for us. Can you tell us how much time we have to prepare to leave the Earth or evolve ourselves to adapt to the harsh environment?
It's a slow adoption. And nowadays they call it the global warming, and it's getting hotter by 1 degree. It's going to get hotter by 5 or 10 degrees in 1,000 years. We are getting pulled in, becoming closer. We are on a spin. We are on gravitational pull. We are a speck of dust, and the mother is calling. And it's got tentacles of physical field on us. So what they say, oh, it's a global warming and blah, blah, and we had the time of the dinosaurs and the rest. We cannot today, billions of years down the line, even if we find the eggs of the dinosaurs which we can replicate and give them life, the dinosaurs today will never come to the height, the size of the billions of years. Because the pressure on the atmosphere has tightened. We are getting closer to the sun. And this does not allow, this compression does not allow big size animals. Cannot support. The calcium structure has changed, even though it's a calcium as a bone. If scientists deeply go into testing and looking at the structure of the bone of the elephant today and the dinosaurs of billion years ago, it's a different calcium, different energy field calcium. And this is the reality we are facing, and we cannot change it. And we cannot, we adapt to it, we become shorter, we become more lenient, we change our food diets because other things doesn't exist anymore. And the energy of the fields of the planet changing because of this approach to the sun. It doesn't happen over a day. Maybe from the time you're born to the time you die, it'll be 1 millimeter. Because 50, 60, 100 years is no time in the work of the universe. But you go closer, millimeter by millimeter. And that closeness brings the heat, warming the planet, the waters evaporate. And if you know how to travel with the dimension of the soul, it gets hotter. I'll go to one planet further out and start life there till it gets the same conditions there. But because you live in the dimension of the field of the universe, time is irrelevant. 1 billion years or 1 minute, it's all the same. Time is a creation of the man according to his own understanding of his own environment. It doesn't exist in the universe. Any other question?
Okay, we have a, a question from Nikolai, and quite a few knowledge seekers, I think, have this question. It's one of the iconic questions that we address. So it goes like this. It says, "Good morning, all. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you, Rick. Does it make sense for us to make anything in the physicality anymore?"
Of course it does. He has a lot of beauty. You make a child, you enjoy the love of Creator. You made a child in dimension of physicality, and now try to see if you make a child with the soul. And then you see, you still haven't learned, really haven't felt the true love. You thought you love your children because of their physical, the cuddle and the touch. Let child of physicality touch you, you just go nuts. And there's a lot more. We always choose, even if we go into the dimension of the soul, travel to space, if we decide to enjoy the environment, we enjoy the earth and gave it dimension of physicality, you want to become physical, then what happens there? You become a resident for 1 billion years or so and then move on. And you split and you spread. It's how you divide it and you make it in the life of the physical man. It takes a long time. In the life of the soul, there is no time. And if you go by the religions, again, you find hypocrisy in other ways, and we believe it. And if you go by your soul, you don't need to believe any religions. And how you, what you call, expand, how you divide, how you manipulate the conditions to multiply, and how much a lie you tell about it, and how you did. This is, again, I go back to religions, going back to, again, Judaism. If you read the Torah, original, there were about 70 people with Moses. Or there were 70 of them, of the tribe which brought what we call now part of Judaism. And in Torah it says they were left in the desert, or They're abandoned for 430 years. And when Moses took them across, there were 3 million of them, all the same tribe. And he opened the seas for these men to go across, and then he folded on the pharaohs. No, all of it is nonsense. Today, knowledge tells us it's absolutely fairy tale, because we know how many children can be reproduced, and how, if you say equal men and women, and they're all active and all the children survive, scientifically data tells us they cannot be more than 10,000. How did the Jews become 3 million in 400 years from 70? All lies. Does not exist. But it's in Torah. We have to accept it. But there's another question in the faith of the man, is that we have a religion which everything about Moses is written in the books of Torah. And this religion has come to birth sometimes in the life of the pharaohs, Egyptian life, because it talks about it. But if you had a pharaoh disappearing under the ocean and the sea, why don't we read it in Greek mythology, in Greek history, in other histories, the Persian Empire, the Romans, and all these? There is no indication of such a thing that a pharaoh disappeared. Where? What's the truth about it? There is no truth about this. And we just accept because it's in Old Testament. These are the stories which we were set to accept. And as the historian said, by statistically, if there were 3 million Jews, and by statistical calculation, it must be about 500,000, 600,000 of the soldier men who could be armed, who could defend. This 600,000 couldn't stand the pharaohs that had to escape from him. Now you understand, history does not match what is written into the holy books, they call it. And I look at the history. I live the history, not the lyrics. Nothing in Torah fits the reality. It doesn't exist. And we have accepted it. Because in no books, in no historical papers, in no stones, in nothing which man has, speaks about 3 million population in the time of this guy called Moses. What is in Roman time? What is the Greeks who had all what is the Babylonians who had all these papers and stones and things we have? There is no name of any tribe existing in that time and a pharaoh disappearing in the sea with all his soldiers. It's all fabrication. Otherwise, we would have had other confirmation. It doesn't exist. It's just made to make a man great and then abuse it. You are knowledge seekers. Go into the books of the history, all the stones, all the things we have found out. Except in Bible, which says all these calamities, there is nowhere else. If a king has disappeared with all his army, we should read it somewhere. We should find it in historical stones. There should be something of it. It's just in there because it's written in there and we have to accept it. Somebody had a good drink and wrote something. There's a lot that dismantles the structure of what we accept as Judaism. That's why we bring an end to this. By themselves. You, as knowledge seekers, you're all scientists, well educated. Go into the history of the books, stones and everything, and historians. Show anyone that mentions about 3 million and 600,000 soldiers running away from the pharaohs. We don't see it anywhere. It's just because it's written there and we have to accept. Where they were put into and they died of hunger and they lived 40 years without any food. One of the historical books which tells if you put the 600,000 soldiers onto a marching of 4-line soldiers, it takes 600 kilometers. End to end of the soldier line. Just a soldier. Forget about the other 3 million. Covers the whole Sanya Desert. You're at the water on either end. You don't need to live in the desert in the middle. It's all built up to give lies a truth, and we have accepted because the Jews say so. Historically, there is no facts. There is no record of it. Not in Babylonian time, not in the Phoenician time, nothing is said about a pharaoh disappearing, not even in Egyptian history. So you have to understand, we have to investigate the truth. It's in the writing of Baha'u'llah, it says, independent investigation of the truth. And I did a lot of independent investigation, and the truth is not there. Not even about the Baha'i.
Mr. Keshe, I was reading about them, about the Jewish people. They call them the chosen one. Why they call them the chosen one?
Oh, because they wrote it to be the chosen one. If you look at the history of the Christianity, in Judaism, if you look at the books which makes the Jewish religion, the first books appear, the first writing as such appears 800 years before Christ. The book which is all relied on, which is the cornerstone of giving Jewish religion a foundation name, is written about 500 years before Christ, which was set by the Iranian king to write a book about this tribe because they were part of Persia. The book which the Jews rely on is written by Persian Jews, historians, 500 before Christ, giving shape and dimension to who Moses is and the rest of it. Before that, it doesn't exist. And if you look, this is what I can explain to you. Before I said one day I unravel it. If you look at in the Jewish principles and works, there is a lot of hints of Mitra, which they ignore, because it's written by the Persians. The Old Testament, go and read, always look at the facts, independently investigate, then you understand. There is no book referring to Moses as we call it before 500 years when the Persians start writing it. The Shah of Iran, the king of the kings, the god of the gods, as two Jewish people who followed to write a book about this, because Palestine, where is Jerusalem and the rest are part of the Persian Empire. He did the same with other religions, other nationalities or districts he was ruling. Read it. The two people who wrote the present book of the Torah is two Iranians who believed in Jewish path, and what you call it, Hakam and the Shias ordered to write that their history stays and doesn't disappear. And now it's become a noose around the neck of us that the land is given to them by right. And we see the mayhem up today in Pakistan. I told you one day I'll open the truth about these mayhems and lies which is brought to us. And if you look into the principle of the Judaism, is the principle of Mithraism, because it was written by the Persians who understood. The king is written because it was part of the Persian Empire, and Quraysh and Arish always was the path that Khamenei brought this, that every district we rule has to be independent, has to be appreciated, and has to be respected for what they believe. They don't have to all become Mithras. And then in that process, they just the belief of, because they were Mithras, most of them believers. We saw Christianity coming out of the Romans. We saw Judaism coming out of the Jews. And what we call the rest of it. Historically, a lot of things like the river of blood, if it was such a thing, if it was such a hunger for 40 years, then there were no blah, blah, blah. Where is it? Why there is never recorded anywhere? Show us scientifically, historically, where is. To me, as a researcher, as somebody who does a lot of work, research, and on the other hand, I carry the soul, none of the things written in Old Testament stands on its own. There's a question even about the man himself. But I don't go to that depth. Even we follow the correction of the test, the 10 Commandments, we add to it. Even those 10 Commandments, which is in Torah, is a cornerstone of the tribe which the Hebrew, the Lot, who became now the Jews, copied from another Babylonian king. It's not theirs. And it was there 2,000 years before Christ. He made it his, but in a way it's instruction of the creator. I told you, we are not prophets, we are teachers. And the teacher has to teach the correct thing. Otherwise, we carry on with the same fallacies.
Mr. Keshe, another thing is puzzling is this. Jesus was Jewish, and then Jesus was Jewish, and then when he came, in Torah it says they were waiting for Messiah. They were waiting for Messiah. So Jesus came, and then some of the Pharisees, some of the Jewish people, they knew he is the Messiah. But then my question is, if the Messiah came and they killed him, why the Jewish didn't become Christian, and then why another branch created?
I tell you something very interesting. You start with this. Moses was never circumcised, but he brought circumcision. This is a joke between the prophets, call it. But Christ was a Jew who was circumcised and promoted non-circumcision. The Jewish religion brought to kill and take over everything of the others. Christ went the opposite, to give to the others. A lot of people who had to deal with the Jewish tribe had a problem with their stealing and dishonesty. And we still see it right across. All the wars are promoted by them. All the killing promoted by them. Read the 10 things which Moses kept on giving to pharaohs, and everything was a punishment of killing and killing and killing. There is no love of God, and only the Jews were not killed. Only the Jews were not done. How come? There is a very big question. As I told you about birth of Christ and the Virgin Mary and him on the cross and the rest, there is a very interesting point about Moses. We read, we've been told, and it's only in their Torah, my grandmother will turn on her grave. My family, all Kohens, are just going to take his soul. But it doesn't matter, I'll give it to you freely. We read about Moses to be found in the basket because there's. Read the history book. A few hundred years ago, before that, a mother who had a child, who after 3 months of looking after the child knew cannot do, puts it on the basket and puts it on the river, and gets picked up by the fisherman, and then he grows up, and then he becomes a king. And the king ruled for 48 years. This is his life story. Now it becomes Moses's. Never happened. Or how come again is the story of the, what I call the spider. And we have to accept this because it's written in Torah. Historically, there is a king in Babylonian time. In that time, hundreds of years before, this was the history which was in the culture, said word by word, by mouth. And then they made it in writing to be Christ, Moses. Never happened. happened to a man who became a king. And they made the king to become a prophet. Even though Muhammad, blesses his name, in Quran confirms some of these. He says about the milk and honey promise. This is a promise by the devil god, they call it, who promotes killing, that if you kill, I'll give you honey and milk in the other world. And Muhammad has explained it. But it's not Moses's. It's this prophet who they believed in, they became part of, and they wrote as theirs. There is no reality in the Jewish, what I call writings, and what is followed by what is historically in the books of man. We don't have. Show us. Very simple. Show us all these things. But historically, we have in the books, in the historical stones found, that there was a king who the mother, he wasn't a king, he was from an ordinary mother who could not support the life of the child, and put on a basket at 3 months old, found out a fisherman, and the fisherman brought him up, and when he came at the age of puberty, whatever, to run his farm for him, and from there he became a king, a just king. And how come it matches to the other one? It's made up, it's taken up, it's put in. As a Jewish blood brought from what we call reading historically, none of it matches. We don't tell it's a lie, we don't tell it's a fabrication, but none of the data comes in. What is the 3 million? We cannot scientifically, we all live today, even if like rabbits we do, with the historical man, takes 9 months, even put it at twins and every single one survives, we can't be more than 15,000 in 400 years. Impossibility. Where did the 3 million come in? It doesn't make sense. And it has to be scientific. We are humans, we work on a database. Unless God sent 3 million from space to become Jews. And why did they run with 600,000 soldiers from a pharaoh? Deceiving is part of the structure of this path. Rob your neighbors, tell them to trust you to take all their silvers and gold, and tomorrow we escape. Why do you need silver and gold when you're going to the desert? To do what with it? This is what we have to understand about history. A man works by history, not by what is said by word of mouth. It's in writing at a time and a date. When I tell you we bring an end to this because we know the truth, we understand the facts. And again, when you look into Judaism, the way it is, the name of King of Persia are stated over 40 times in Torah. One of them over 25 times. If this God of whatever, what man of whatever existed 1,000, 1,500 years before Persian Empire, how come these guys slip in? What is the truth? Unless it was written by them as a respect for all the... This is the biggest problem we have with the Persian culture. We always gave right to everyone to believe, and we always respected. And this respect was abused. And this is one of them. I don't say anything. I don't say I'm anti whatever or whatever. I go by historical papers, historical documents, the data from the time, not what was said. What is written on time counts. And some of these things these stones have been found. They're in European museums, but they don't want to show it to you. Some of these stones which confirms all this data sits in British Museum, in French and the rest. Because when they conquered, they took all with them. It's not something which is said that it was a stone. They are here in the West. and puts an end to it, but they don't let it happen. It's like the same as Vatican doesn't allow anything to come about Mithraism because it's matching things. If you go even, we call it the Jewish celebration of that all the pharaoh's soldiers died, and they celebrate it as one of the biggest festivals on death of other people. For them, they celebrate because of mass murder, the same as the celebration of the Day of Flowers, which we have in the Jewish religion, is when what do you call it? Jewish became a slave and then became a queen, ordered killing of 70,000 Iranians who they thought they're going to do something with the Jews, and they celebrated. All the celebration in Jewish religion is a point of death. How much they killed, they celebrate. Look at the celebration and what they celebrate. They're one of the biggest celebration in Jewish calendar is the killing of the pharaohs and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, which never existed, and they celebrate fake on the fake. Just go on it and read it, and then you understand. It doesn't make sense. And that's why we bring an end to it, because we know the truth by historical documents. Those days, there was no communication, there was nothing. They could tell and do what they like. Now they can't. You believed in fake. Now you have to open your eyes and understand the truth. And that's it. Even if you look at the principle of stoning in Islamic religion, it was in that region, the Babylonian area and Palestine, where stoning was very common, not in the rest of Africa. And Muhammad came from that area and he brought it to be because he was accepted in that part. This is another indication that Islam comes from the place of the birth of Muhammad within Jordan, because that was a practice in that area. Nobody else in the Middle East practiced stoning. And now is in it. And the first stoning we know done by Moses on an old man, just picking dry wood. It's in Torah, not my word. Read it. How can you believe in fallacy? Unless you want to fool yourself. It's what we've done with our soul. This is what we've done with our physicality. We have folded and we imprisoned the soul because it suits us. Historically, does not make sense. Historically, is not there. Mythically, is there. If you read the historical papers, documents, or stones and clays we found out, you will see all the things which you read in Jewish Torah is a history of talk, and the God they believe in, as whatever you call it, is the god of wine in Greek mythology. What do you call it? Literature. He was always drunk, and he's always everything else. Read it. They chose the story of his life, the Greek god of wine, drunken man, and he's become the rule of the Torah. Because these stories are written on the stones and we have access to it. People didn't know these stones exist. Now we have it historically been dug out. You see what he did as a drunken man, written nearly 1,000 years before the Torah was written, now has become part of the Judaism practice. The drunken God. Read it, understand it, and you understand how, I said, I dismantle religions by their own history, not by making accusation. The God of the wine, man who's always drunk in Greek mythology, is quoted in all, because they were all in the same area. They all had interactions and they told the story of by mouth, and this is what we have. fake religion, but is embedded in the dimension of soul of physicality, in the behavior of the, what I call the descendant of it. Now I open the books of history and go and check. Historically, scientifically, nothing adds up. But there's, we call it Shabi Yalda. We sit on the table the longest night and grandparents tell stories to the grandchildren of whatever they wanted to make up. This is one of those will come a Torah. Made up, followed up, and killed for. And bring an end to it. An end to it by truth, by independent investigation. Go and read the stones, tablets, and other documents which Greeks, Romans, Persians, and Babylonians have left behind. And then what is from the Palestinian areas, there is no indication of 6 million. It cannot be. It's writing in Torah. When those people could add, they never do. The literature could not do it, but now we can do it. We have scientific data. 70 people could not become 6 million. Impossibilities. Then you understand how the rest is made up to suit, and it's all the story of a drunken man. God. Any other question?
Yes, we have several questions in YouTube, but we also have a hand up from Antonio. So let's hear from Antonio first and try to cover these questions. I think you probably want to wrap things up fairly quickly here.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Antonio from Australia.
Hi, how are you?
I'm always good, thank you.
How's life? I haven't heard from you for a long time.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
I said, how is life? We haven't heard from you for a long time.
Oh, no, I'm here. I'm always here listening. Busy farming. And
I know.
Yeah.
What are we harvesting now? Plums?
Yes, blood plums. Not much fruit this year for some reason. It was, I don't know.
Lack of bees?
No, I don't know. The weather wasn't very, we didn't have enough chill factor in the winter. I mean, everyone's complaining. The friend of mine just before was saying his watermelon crop is 40% down this year, and the price is down as well, so it's not good either. This is the life of the farmer. And from day to day, we don't know what we're getting.
That's what make a greenhouse, you dictate the environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think you got to speak to Jim, huh? He has control over everything under the roof.
Yeah, he's doing well. Yeah, I do keep in touch. I was looking at the theory of, not theory, but the planet Earth moving slightly closer to the sun, and that made me think that as we draw closer, say for example the other planets like Venus that are closer to the sun, does that make them more aware, more in touch with their soul because they're closer to the sun, and we are in that journey or on the process of becoming aware of who we are? I'm trying to.
I understand. I understand what you're trying to say. Maybe look at it the other way. As we get closer, we are interacting a stronger fields.
Yeah.
A new dimension of fields, and that new stronger fields brings us new intelligence. That's possible. Not possible. Probable, no. most certainly. And part of our intelligence doesn't come out by that. It comes by the fields, because we absorb different strength fields, which brings us different intelligence. And yes, and how we interact, we are a small speck of dust in another, on the back of another small speck of dust in this universe, and on the back of a smaller and smaller dust in the whole of the, what I call, creation. But each one has given the same chance to survive. Yes, it's 100% part of it. We are receiving higher order, and higher order fields bring different intelligence. And yes, without a shadow of a doubt.
So the sun itself would be the highest entity in our universe.
In the solar system.
The solar system,
but
sorry.
Still has connection to the source. As I always say, the sun, the earth, in the condition of creating a plasma, now where we understand, and the soul of the man have the same access to the knowledge of the universe as we have. Because it's no different. The same field, you say, talking about the rain, is the same environment the rain rains on you and your next door neighbor and the rest of Australia. So you're benefited by that. And in the northern hemisphere, we have a mild winter this year, and we're all touched by it. And the beauty of the God rains on all of us the same in the same environment. So it cannot be, because it's just how we understand it and how we separate it.
Yeah. How
we manipulate it to our own advantage or disadvantage.
Also, you spoke about, I was listening to you about stoning in the past, and that sort of brought me to the present, where they're stoning with bombs and buildings are coming down on people. So it's a different form of stoning, I would say. Very terrible stoning.
We're seeing an end to it. Keshe Foundation International is on the process of negotiating peace with the world leaders. Very soon you will understand what I'm talking about. We are using the technology in exchange for peace in a different way. Those knowledge seekers who work with me very closely know what I'm talking, because they're involved in it with me. And because of the access to the new technologies and new knowledge, we have brought our attention to governments in a different way through the what I call the channels. And these things soon will stop, because I have a beautiful partnership, or very understanding, but we understand their position, they understand our position, with Chinese military officers or people who decide with us, and we are all on the same tune. And that will bring that change. It's a pleasure to work with the high-ranking officers in the Chinese army so closely, because we don't need to hide anything from them. They don't hide anything from us. Hopefully they do, but their own ways, respecting their national, what they call it, integrity, but has opened up new channels of negotiation with other governments, other positions. And many of you knowledge seekers in the background, you're working with us with this. It's not me. It's you who's setting up all the contacts, references, connections, and many knowledge seekers on a private way of working with us, as us together, bringing this position. It's not just that we say. So the knowledge seekers who are online, we're listening today, they know what they're doing and how they're liaising and bringing that position to one step closer to world peace. It's not talk. There's a lot of work goes on, and it's not by you knowledge seekers. You are the ones, you are the link between us and your governments and national governments and the rest of it. And it's coming into fruition, but all have to mature. And there's a reason we go different ways and we choose different things. I said to a knowledge seeker, one of our closest knowledge seekers to us very recently, I said, we are exactly where we should be. We will bring the position to be governed by our soul and by the knowledge and technology, no more by gun policy. And you will see it. It's a lot of work. A lot of work is done by a lot of knowledge seekers in bringing this position. It's not talk, it's not people just going, I know a president, I know a member of the cabinet. These group of people close to us, literally working with world leaders, literally working with a structure which controls, brings our knowledge, brings their knowledge, and we're shaping it in a very nice way. And I think I gave you a hint in the first part that in the conference in Sanya, you will see different scientists, military and non-military, and government in the conference, not only from China. We have invited them to be part because we start showing things. And a lot of knowledge seekers, you all had a Christmas and holidays. It hasn't stopped for us. I still work every day. And because they don't have a Christmas, they don't, it's not their holiday time. But it goes. We see a lot of changes, and it's about to happen. One of the major changes we'll see in a short time, coming up time, is the end of what we see in Palestine. We'll get to Palestine back to be a Palestine the way it has to be a Palestine, where people used to live, tribes used to live. And this crazy guy thinks he can bring, he wants to be known as a next, what do you call it, savior of Israel, but actually has brought Israel to its demise. And it was his job. That's why he was born, to do that. His job is to bring to it.
It's just painful, very painful to watch, and it has a profound effect on me.
You're not the only one. You're not the only one. We on daily basis have to handle this, and there's so much you can take.
Yeah.
But it's I always said very recently to one of the knowledge seekers, I know how I can and understand and handle this because I had the training before in 1990s and 1980s with the split of Russia and seeing how things work. And now I understand how the armies work, how the generals work, how I can talk and work and teach our knowledge seekers who work with us how to be tolerant, how they work. Because in the time of 90s, when the East opened up, we were so close to the who are now the world leaders, became world leaders because of our trading, commercial. But now I look at it and I say, now I know why I had to do that, because I had the training how to do it now. It was just a pre-run, and now it's a test. And it's there. I see I even try to protect big nations in sharing the knowledge and getting the others to accept that it can be shared. It's a very peculiar situation, very, very peculiar. Especially this week has been one of the strangest weeks for me for decades. I used to negotiate between British government and Russian satellite countries and all sorts of things running between Downing Street and different capitals in trying to keep the Eastern Bloc opened up and hold on to it. And I see the same situation now. Even the big powers, we have to bring them to be a player, otherwise it becomes a mayhem. And when I explain to the other world leaders why I do it and the way it has to be done, they say, you planned everything, you're planning to start ruling this planet. I said, no, I give the freedom for people to rule themselves. and it has to be correct. To get the Americans to find out that they're lost in Ukraine, they're losing in Palestine, and then they go into one direction, trying to force their superiority in a different way with other wars, or join us to work with us that there is no superiority, we are all superior. And this is one of the biggest jobs now we have with knowledge seekers, battling with governments at the moment. You have to understand, one of the biggest nations on this planet, getting the second humiliation that actually took, they're trying to stop the humiliation in Gaza. They've taken over the Israeli army. Now the Israeli army is working directly on the instruction of the White House. They have bypassed what we call Netanyahu. You will see, understand? And there's a second defeat for them after Ukraine. When Russia, now we don't hear much about Ukraine because it was so big. Now they found out they sold, and they did. Now we have to find accommodation that America doesn't feel humiliated again. So we have to find a place of accommodation for them to be accommodated, to be part of the game. And we are playing, or we are working with that, with 2 or 3 governments, trying to assert this, bring enemies together to work as one, as friends, at least in fields still build up the trust. You hear about these things in the results of what we do in the background. If America feels a second failure, they had a Vietnam, now the Ukraine became one, they're trying to keep their face after spending billions. Vatican lost there, now again another loss in Jerusalem. What they have to show they're still in power, so they have to create another war somewhere, which we know what they are planning to do. Or we bring them in, okay, you lost, it doesn't matter, now we work together. And this is something which we are working extensively with 2 or 3 governments to bring Americans into play. Not to, because if they go through this second phase of humiliation in Palestine, they lose control as a war leader. It will not work anymore unless, and they will react. They will start kicking somewhere to show their power in another war, and our job is to stop that, and we are working on it. And thanks to the knowledge seekers in the background who are working with me so close.
Maybe we should just give them Liechtenstein, or one of the smallest countries of the world, and that'll make them feel good, like they've conquered something. And then leave the rest of us alone.
You have to understand, the decision makers, the ones who push the buttons in Washington, are Jewish people, and they do everything for their own benefit. To kill is the way it is. The God they believe in, the God they became to believe in, is a God of murder, killing. Read about the God you call whatever.
I couldn't believe that the U.S. okayed the last shipment of millions of dollars of arms to Israel, and they didn't even go through their Congress and through their voting procedure. They bypassed everything using some special obscure law, and because it's a so-called emergency, and it's such an emergency to get these bombs out to bomb that area. And that's,
you gotta understand.
I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, but it's not all innocent from the Palestinians. They're at it as well. It's not all one-sided. Both sides are doing damage to each other. But one is more vocal, the other one is hidden, because Israelis cannot say we lost hundreds of soldiers. What they call phase 3 now, Netanyahu won't do it. The American pushed it from northern Israel. The American forced a new movement of their forces, not Netanyahu. This guy is bent backwards to become the Messiah of Israel, but he brought Israel to actual end. You will see very soon.
Yeah,
but
it's interesting. South Africa has stepped up because they have gone through apartheid, and now they are speaking up, which is interesting to see that of all the nations, South Africa has, wants
Yeah. But don't
So,
forget, South Africa was one of the solid grounds for the Jews, for the Israeli
yeah.
government. Always relied on South Africa for everything they did. And now it's not there because of the change of the understanding and animosity. And this situation could have been solved in a different way, but it couldn't be solved because he had to bring an end to this, what you call, in this situation, and bring in Palestine to be one again. You will see, we partially know what is to come to happen. We are instigator of it. We know it always happens mostly the way we plan it to be done. And we hopefully see an end. And this end of this brings a lot of depletion on the assets of the Vatican who promoting wars. You say out of nowhere, arms going, because all the Vatican money is gone into this. And there's another superiority to bash the Iranian, what do you call it, Shia side, because they are supported by that side. It's a religious fight, it's not a national fight. And we sit in the heart of a lot of, what do you call it, hope of spending money.
Yeah.
We'll
I'm hoping that peace comes soon, and
we know it comes soon, but you cannot do what was there. Then they go and find another reason to fight. If they demolish it, if you commit suicide, nobody can put you in prison for murder because you done it to yourself.
Yeah.
You understand? So let them hang themselves.
Yeah. Okay.
We're just creating the condition for it. They're not aware of it, but the condition is set and they fell in it.
I think the Americans, their heart is about to awaken, because I think in general they're good people, and when once it turns around and they join the rest of the community and work together as one, you know, I think that they will do things bigger and better than some people, because that's how they think. So I'm hopeful that America will come round and sit at the table.
I think it'll come out of no choice. It'll come out of, if we don't act the correct way, and Keshe Foundation is deeply involved in it. I spent hours and hours, even if I asked for extended break during today, was because of this work in what we are setting up in Palestine and with the Americans and the Chinese. Is part of the work. It doesn't stop day and night. We're at it. And that's why I took a long break. And I said, if you go carry on, is that we cannot let Americans feel humiliated in Palestine, even they're trying to wipe their mouth with what happened. But in essence, we have to use this opportunity to create another condition for peace, equality. And this Palestinian situation has given a huge, huge boost to that. I know a lot of people have got killed, a lot of people are suffering, but we always, with these things, came to a better result and a better understanding. And I'm sure in the next 6 months, 12 months, we'll see a different structure of the work in Middle East. A very big, and China will be a principal player in it, but we'll see the hands of other nations in Middle East will come and will build up. And we'll see if we resolve the situation with the religions in Middle East, in Palestine, in Jerusalem, and we all understand we're all living a fake religions in a way, in different ways, then we find out there is another solution, and we find what we call the essence of the creation, become all understanding what the God is and what the creation is. This is a promised time. The peace comes. The promised peace comes when we all read from the same hymn sheet, and there is no religions, no nationality, we're all the same. Yeah. I was saying to a knowledge seeker recently, if I live in Linz or I live in Vienna, or I live in another village in Austria, nobody asks me because I'm in this nation. But if I go to Germany, they ask me, where is your passport? Where do you live? What do you want to do? And when we make one nation out of this planet, the way it's structured to become, nobody asks you where you live, what taxes you pay, where you are. It becomes a collective effort by all of us, for all of us. Then it doesn't matter where you live. And then you understand why we set up the Universal Council and the Earth Council and the rest of it.
Well, that's how we have to view the world, as one big family. We're all connected, you know.
You think this is a problem? The biggest problem is for Mitra's daughter to sort out. And that is how to get this lot, now they became one nation, to become one universal community. That is her headache, not mine.
Yeah.
I always said to my father, and he used to argue with me, I said that Jews gave no right to women. Christ brought a balance. Muhammad gave half. The Baha'is brought the equality. And the next one is a woman. And then we all have to accept. And it's here. The truth has come.
Mm-hmm.
We all follow any way.
You.
Thank you.
Thanks
the
for
history of
hope.
life is written. It's not hope, we are working on it. It's not me. The knowledge seekers on this teaching, they're part of it, they know who they are. And they're working with us relentlessly, negotiating. I teach them how to negotiate. I bring them to how to talk to, understand the way the world leaders and military people think and work, and just build it up. Because it's a training I have to, as a teacher, to teach. And they're learning, and we are seeing a lot of good results. But there's one thing for sure. We see one Palestine as one nation, irrespective of the color, race, and religion. Very soon we see an end to this mayhem created in this area for the past 2,000, 3,000 years.
Mm-hmm. Very good, thank you.
Thank
you very much. Yeah.
Any other questions? Shall we call it a day?
There's always more questions, and there's about half a dozen in YouTube, but I've copied them over to a text file, and we can introduce them next week if you like. Some of them are worthwhile questions, so they might take longer answer.
Ask one of them.
Okay, well, let's go to the first question from Ping Peter in YouTube, who says, can you tell us a bit more about the life in the universe? What do the universe people do on a typical day?
Well, that day could be 1,000 years of your life. Depends how they calculate their days, how the cycle of life is set. And I've never seen any factories, never seen any judges, never seen any production line, never seen slavery. But as they go through processes, they learn and they adjust and they do. It's a matter of interaction and peace. We still have conditions which created by physical interaction of the fields, which are natural processes. And when I see these Star Wars games, galaxies fighting, and I say, my God, this is a human mind. That's the only thing they know, how to kill. These things is resolved in the universal community. We still get races who want to show they exist, but the teaching of what we brought out becomes part of the essence of the knowledge of the creation, and they learn from the beginning. They go through the evolution of the knowledge, but not the way man has done. And what I call the four-wheelers, we call them. And it's peaceful. It's what do you do when you sit in the sun? You're on holiday. Enjoy, You're calm, you're with the others, they enjoy your presence. Then it's the same. You're a permanent holiday in the space. Because you don't need to do anything to steal from anyone. And if you give yourself manifestation of physicality, it's for you to enjoy the time without harming the others. And so it's I call it, they call it land of honey and milk. It's like a holiday time. You're there to enjoy the existence of your soul and at the same time give pleasure to the others. And enjoy here on earth, we enjoy the rays of sun, we sit on there. When you travel in dimension of soul, you enjoy the rays of the love of the Creator and you warm yourself up to it.
Would there be any art or music involved in that situation?
Yes, fields always create noise. Depends how you want to create it.
Okay.
Listen to the noise of the universe. Depends what part of it you want to listen. It's always a music. It's a fraction of the noise of rubbing fields together. We hear it. Most of you have heard it if you've been with us in some of the what do you call it, Friday sessions. Most of you must have heard it. Sometimes you hear a heartbeat. Sometimes you hear a whistling noise. These are from the fields, not from us. Sometimes I hear it because I know the noise coming from the machine, where it comes from. Sometimes the interaction of your souls with our system, you hear it. And it's there. Fields, they rub it like two hands, they make noises. Maybe you want to strengthen it, you like pop, you strengthen one side of the plasma, and you like classic music, you strengthen the other side. It's very much what I call Caribbean life. There's always tomorrow. You don't need to rush. It's an island. You cannot run out of it, so you better enjoy it while you're here. Shall we go into
just wanted to occur to me that there's also the idea of being in the position of service as well in all of that.
You
correct?
always are. You always are. You're
So
always
that's the predominant kind of viewpoint, you might say. If everyone is there to be of benefit to all beings, then it would be a much different world for sure than the more selfish world that we are faced with now.
It's a dimension of physicality which brings the suffering. Dimension of the soul doesn't have this because you accommodate. You cannot suffer. Because if it comes to suffer, you move to accommodate your own soul. Thou shalt not steal, and that is yours.
So does that come from desire that gets aroused through our interaction with the physicality dimensions, the earth and planet and all of that?
Yep. But what does it become when you go on Mars? What's the next desire which you didn't know? Now is the interaction of the fields with the environment and creates a desire you're not aware of.
And what about all the desires in the space between Earth and Mars while you're journeying?
Yeah. If you want to understand how your environment affects you, always say, go to Amsterdam. When you go to Amsterdam, especially in the city center area, especially at night, you don't need to smoke marijuana. There is enough people smoking it that you literally float. You understand? They create the environment, they suffer, they have the pleasure, but you smell it. And gradually, when you spend a couple of hours sitting in bars and whatever, without you smoking, secondary is what they call it, energy of the marijuana touches you. You feel you're talking different, you're more placid there. And then say, what happened? I don't touch anything, but why my behavior has changed? And then you realize the environment is so calm, everybody is so, what do you call it? High, I call it. You
Laid
understand?
back is
Yeah.
one of the terms.
You become so laid back and you fall off the chair sometimes. This is, I used to spend a lot of time in Amsterdam, and I was there very recently because of the work of the foundation. And it's strange, you don't get a breath of fresh air. You walk from one height to another because the guy behind and in front of you and two guys ahead of him, they're all at it. So you still literally start floating if you spend enough time, and usually sit in the restaurants or whatever is normal. And it's very, very interesting how the environment creates a condition for you to be relaxed without actually doing anything. And it's the same in the universe. Everything is so set that it brings you to it. It doesn't force you to it. This is the way we accept, and this is how the universe is. Thank you much for today, and hope we meet soon, and hope our team can finish our organization for Chinese meeting and join us in one of the most beautiful lands on this planet, island of Mehran in Sanya. And I hope you enjoyed as I enjoyed that. We just lived there for some times with some of the most beautiful knowledge seekers. Thank you very much for today, and we'll see you next time. And I'm sure I'll meet about 100 of you tomorrow in the, what do you call it, the session of understanding the emotion of loving and receiving and giving. Thank you
And
very
let's
much.
just mention about the transmutation sessions coming up every third Friday of the month from January through to June. And
again, yes, this has a limited application, limited people we're going to accept on this, because we have to do a lot of things for transmutation, elevation, and everything else. And gradually they become one this group, and they build up the essence of the building blocks of man's transmutation. You understand gradually. I do things in a very subtle, hidden way, and this is one of them. Those chosen souls will be there to go to the next step and the rest of it. And you'll understand, as I explained today, the new non-dimensional plasma will come into play. And if you've been through these cycles, you go through the second cycle after June, preparing man for that final phase. But that time we need to bring governments in. That's why I said in the conference in Tehran, we'll bring that phase into play. And then hopefully we show the Americans in Washington there is no borders, because many of you knowledge seekers will come in through different ways, that there is no custom clearance, as I call it, and no stamp on the passport. Thank you very much. And please, as Rick said, we're going to give a very, very limited numbers to this session of every Friday, because gradually all become understanding, knowing each other, because it's an open session. And we go ahead. There's something we forgot to talk about, Rick, is that knowledge seekers, some of the knowledge seekers, it was discussed in other teachings as well, that the structure we are looking to, or they are looking to set up for teaching youngsters the technology, or we support this, but it has to be done the correct way, that the children are protected. And this will come to you, that you can teach your children the knowledge of the everything else will be done by some of the people who are well behind the Maghreb system, and others, they understand it, and bring our children in to understand the position of their souls and their new life. And I support their work. I started this years ago with my son, and we had to stop. And the new teachings for children, if they come the way that we secure our children, it will be starting for your children if they want to learn the basics and the understanding of this. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, I think the first classes are for ages 7 to 11, and we'll make announcements when that gets solidified, but it's in the planning stages. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Mr. Keshe. Thank you.
Thank you indeed. See you next week. See you tomorrow, most of you who will be with us in the, what I call feeling the love of the Creator. Thank you very much, Rick.
Great. Thank you for another Knowledge Seekers workshop here on the anniversary of 10 years of continuous weekly broadcasts. Mr. Keshe has never missed a Knowledge Seekers workshop.
When is the actual date of it?
You were late once for 2 minutes, I think, and that was it for all the 500 workshops.
When is the first date we did? The first official Knowledge Seekers, not the ones we did with you before.
Right.
We got to find out the first of the first date of the first, yeah.
Yeah, I think it may have been a little bit later than now.
We thought in the airports, in hotel rooms, in the car, partially once on the street, in God knows every position and place in the world possible. And some knowledge seekers got the hang of how and where we are. I remember one of the knowledge seekers telling me once, we know when you are home, Mr. Keshe. I said, why? I've told you this before. He says, we know because your dog barks and we know you're home. So we actually recorded the dog, and when we were not home, we were playing the dog in the background. People think we are still home. And that was interesting. And so you've been with us, and we've been with you from most probably 20, 30 different countries the teaching has gone through. And I hope when we become all the nations, we can meet, and happen to be a Thursday, we can share and learn from each other.
The first Knowledge Seekers workshop was actually in March 6th of 2014, which would have been 10 years ago coming up in March. I'm not sure how we jammed in a few extras there. I think we had a Knowledge Seekers workshop or two that was in the middle of the week, and so we included that as an extra one. And so
I think some of the MAGRAPH system was one of them, or one of them was a health one, I think. And
okay, well, 2 more months before the official 10-year anniversary, I guess.
What date is it? 14th of March?
6th of March.
6th of March. Maybe we celebrate the 10th anniversary in the conference in Sanya in that time.
That would be nice.
That would be nice. Anyway, thank you very much, and see you tomorrow and then next Friday.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, well, thank you everybody for attending today's 520th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 11th, 2024. We're nearly up to halfway through January already, and we will be by our next public teaching workshop, which will be on Tuesday, January 16th, with the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice. And that starts at the 4 p.m. Central European Time on the usual YouTube live stream and Zoom channels. All right, I think that's it for now. Again, thanks everyone for being here and for participating in our workshop. And of course, a big thank you to Mr. Keshe for being here for all these years and continuing to deliver the teachings and knowledge. Our background image today is from Jedi Simon. Thank you for continuing to supply many of the background images in the workshops here. And yeah, I think that's it for now. We'll go out with our usual flight enhancement spaceship unit music version. See you all in the next public teaching workshop. Goodbye.